Now, just a little warning before we begin. Major spoilers in this video for the 8th episode of She-Hulk. So, if you haven't seen it and you don't want anything ruined, it is a really good time to click away. Okay, so what did you think of this episode of She-Hulk?
At one point during the episode, I looked at you and I said, I'm watching the show and I'm smiling and I can't believe it.
You were smiling, and I was enjoying myself somewhat. Somehow, this was both the best and worst episode of the series for me.
Yes, I could see that 100%.
Because I like Daredevil, obviously. Mm-hmm. We've been waiting for him. He was, for the most part, really, really good in this. Mm-hmm. But the whole package around him, I can't stand. Yeah, his series on Netflix was such a serious and kind of grounded and gritty. And not that the character never had fun or made any quips or anything like that. Certainly he did, which he doesn't here, which were most of them, almost all of them landed, right? Mm-hmm. They were all good. Mm-hmm. But his show is so serious that you put him in this and you're like, it just kind of, there's oil and water mixture.
Break, yeah.
They were good together. Mm-hmm. But just like I said, everything around it, I'm like, oh my God, this is such a ridiculous show to put him in.
I do love all the times he just called her out on stuff. You know, I mean, they're fighting together, and she's like, I helped, and he's like, property damage.
Yeah, I know.
Like,
he even said that when she like picks up the car and throws her, like, what are you doing? Like, come on. Like, you're...
He accused her of, like, destroying a parking lot.
Yeah, like, come on. I mean, that was before she kind of lost her mind at the end of the episode, but more on that soon enough.
Soon enough. We're going to talk about good stuff first.
So yeah, we finally get Matt Murdock, finally get Daredevil. He is, for the most part, the Daredevil. He feels like the Daredevil from Netflix.
He really does. They played his music.
Yes, that was cool.
Oh, beautiful little callback. I do like that, and I called it earlier, that she was going to be representing the bad, quote-unquote bad guy, and he was representing the good guy.
Yeah.
Because, her law firm only caters to the rich.
Yes.
Which is what they did in the first seasons of Daredevil. He was in a law firm that was catering to the rich, and that's why he left.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that. In a way, it feels like a lot of the stuff from the Netflix show is addressed, you know?
Kind of, yeah.
That he's like, I have my own firm now, and I do stuff when I need to make some money, I do that, but I mostly do, that's what his law firm was doing in the show.
Yeah.
Which was a great feeling. I was like, good. That's how he should be. And hopefully some of this rubs off on her.
Yeah, in isolation, Daredevil is great. And like, so when he's on screen, as you said, you were actually smiling and enjoying the show. Mm-hmm. And I can't deny they had good chemistry together.
They did.
I mean, again, in the ignoring everything else around it and how silly the plot is and everything else, that's just, we have Leapfrog and he has his goons and his henchmen. And I mean, I like the little, goons. Yeah, I like the little, what's the difference between goons and henchmen. There are really good moments, but it's like, I hate the whole show overall. It just doesn't take anything seriously until like the very end, and then it gets really serious. Yeah. And then it has little moments in there that just make me, want to roll my eyes and go, why do you have to say these stupid things? Why do you put these little stupid things in the show that just, make you want to cringe?
You wanted to move straight to the cringy stuff now?
No, I didn't. I'm just saying, but why do you have to do that? Like, you actually, why I really hated this episode in a way is it showed me like, wow, you could have actually done something with this series. Like, I mean, you almost should have made it Daredevil and She-Hulk. And I understand, like, you're saving Daredevil. You wanted to give us a taste. We got our taste. Mm-hmm. You wanted She-Hulk to have her own series. But I'm like, wow, this worked. This could have worked. And we get one episode of it. And like I said, just the whole overall is just so bad that you're like, oh my God, you could have done something really good.
Daredevil's fighting was amazing. I mean, it's funny because I was thinking during the time that I'm like, there he is with his two, I'm going to call them sticks, which is not their technical name. He's got his two sticks. And then I remember, Mr. Knight from Moon Knight had two sticks and didn't know what to do with them. And now we're seeing someone who's like, this is how you handle it. This is how you get it done.
I mean, my only complaint, and again, you understand why it happens when it comes to Daredevil and this fighting, is like, look, everybody has a crossbow and a bat. Nobody has a gun. But I guess in a way, Leapfrog is...
He wants to see himself as a good guy.
Yes, Leapfrog is not like a villain, per se. He's trying to be a hero, so I guess him equipping his goons with, crossbows and stuff is less lethal or less, bad. His tadpoles, or whatever he was going to call them.
Yeah, the tadpole. The Leap Squad.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
See, but that's the problem. Like, you have this really goofy element in an otherwise, like,
She-Hulk only gets B-list villains.
I know, apparently. But then again, we end the episode with this, We
ruined the episode with that ending that even she said was tacked on.
Well, yes and no, but what's so funny is like, oh, look, we have like plot progression. Something's happening. And like, wait a minute, we have one episode to go. That's probably going to be 25 to 30 minutes long. It's like, why did we go this whole season with like nothing until now? And all these little tidbits that finally led to this. I mean, I guess maybe people like the sitcom style. Maybe some like the, what this show is. But I don't know. You see these little hints here and there of something that could have been, and you're like, wow, why did they go this route? Who did this appeal to?
It's interesting that she even mentioned Red Hulk. I'm like, Red Hulk's not going to show up in this.
No.
Hulk King isn't Red Hulk.
No,
It's
we're
the
not
leader.
we're not seeing.
That's got to
Red
be.
Hulk. Maybe in Thunderbolts. Maybe he just hasn't been announced yet. I don't know, but
Perhaps.
I mean, I guess this would have been a place to introduce him. But again, you didn't really, you didn't go that route. So there you are.
And then we get to the part that overshadowed so much of the good parts of the episode, the gala, where not just one female lawyer of the year was announced, but all of the nominees were the female lawyer of the year. Oh, come on. That doesn't really happen, right?
I don't know.
Like, they can't.
Like
Why
I said,
didn't
that
any
was
of
one
them
of those-
say anything when they were on stage? Mallory should have been like,
Well, it seems like
either I
everybody else
won or I
knew,
didn't.
but I don't know. That was again one of those kind of cringe. I'm like, oh, why are we doing this right now? What is your point? That like, I don't know.
it's a participation trophy.
Yeah, because women can't
mean,
be like real lawyers.
Either they were supposed to announce that all of these were our female lawyer of the year, and this like a countrywide thing. They're all female lawyers of the year, which would make it feel a little more special to think like, oh, we chose a handful out of all the female lawyers in the whole United States.
Yeah.
Instead, it's like, oh, out of like just the law firms in this area, all of you female lawyers must be all of the female lawyers in this
because
area.
I'm sure there's
just
only
a
like
handful.
5 female lawyers
Yeah,
in Los
apparently
Angeles,
they're
right?
all good enough to be
Right.
female lawyer of the year, and one of them's like, "This is empowering," and the other one's like, "This is BS." I'm like, okay, I'm glad you're showing both people's opinions, but what a cheesy setup.
Yeah. It was one of those things. I'm like, what is this show trying to do? Every now and then, it's like, is it preaching at me? Is it making fun of itself? Sometimes I'm like, what in the hell is it trying to do?
And they try to convince you that Jennifer Walters is a great lawyer, but then she didn't find out from her client that he was misusing the property.
Well, I mean, we haven't really seen her be a great lawyer, it's fine. I don't
She
need.
was good in the Blonsky case.
Yeah, I guess she was.
Yeah.
But again, that's so. I guess the problem is like all of the lawsuits are like a weekly episode thing, whereas these big, like Blonsky's parole and the thing with Titania, and it's like they wouldn't be like resolved in like an afternoon. These are like huge things, and it's weird that it kind of doesn't take itself seriously, and then it does take itself. It's such a weird mixture in this show. I don't know.
Wow, Blonsky and the Magician were and Wong were the only people she represented this whole season.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, she's represented some others, didn't she? Maybe? I don't know.
Well, Pug represented the douche guy,
I guess, yeah.
and Mallory represented her.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean...
I guess she didn't do as much lawyering in her lawyer show. Other people did more lawyering.
Yeah.
I mean, even the Immortal Man lawsuit was handled by Mallory and Nikki.
Yeah. And
So there's
she
been a lot
got
of
an award
lawyer
for it.
elements, but she also
Yeah,
been
but
involved in all of them.
Yeah. It's just,
It's
like I
a
said,
little
it's
busy.
not very... It doesn't have to be realistic, per se, but sometimes it's like, you have this probably million or billion-dollar corporation. I don't know what Titania's net worth is in the show, but like I said, in the afternoon, one afternoon, you have this whole case wrapped up for, basically a trademark, and that's going to be dragged out for years and years, let's be honest with you. She's not going to give up after, like, one random judge is like, nope, that's just... I don't know.
And then let's talk about the ending.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Well, She-Hulk lost her control and turned back into that raging Hulk she was when she first got Bruce's powers, it feels like.
Yeah.
Even though she's so much better at controlling her anger.
Well, that's kind of what I'm saying. Not to cut you off, but like, is the show like making fun of its own message? Is it like showing that that this is such a disgrace to her that she's entitled to get angry? And I see that's a problem when you try to message your show and then you put anything that conflicts with it. You're like, well, what is your message now? Because I'm just anticipating you to always try to be preaching to me to teach me how to how to treat women or whatever we want to call it. And so what am I supposed to take away from this ending? That she's justified to getting angry and destroying this stuff? Because she's had her like life thrown out there and being called a slut and all these things.
And even Mallory is like, hey man, you keep your cool, and she didn't keep her cool. She smashed the screens, and damage control was already on site. They predicted her.
They were called or something.
They were called probably beforehand, before this even started. I mean, they were back in the back recording the whole thing.
Yeah.
She smashes through a wall. I feel like she's learned nothing, and we're getting her back to like a starting 0 point.
That's what I'm saying. It's such a weird thing because, the first episode, like, I can control my anger, the whole spiel to the Hulk, which is so strange. But, and so all we've seen throughout this is her not controlling her anger. So is the show now telling us that what that original statement was is inaccurate, that no, maybe, she's not a professional anger controller just because she's a woman? Or is it, like I said, are we justified in, or is she justified in getting so angry this time because of what's happened to her? Like, what's your message now?
It's hard to say because the beginning threw you off. She set a precedent at the beginning to go on the long tangent and say that she is better at controlling her anger.
Yeah, and then she proves it by, like, the way she can handle the Hulk and transform at will and all these things, and she doesn't have the kind of the alter ego that Bruce does.
Yeah, but then she goes to the retreat and
wants to kill a guy.
Wants to kill somebody immediately because he jumped her, even though she knows she can take him because she's taking him before.
Yep.
Now, I mean, all of her dirty laundry, the things that she's apparently ashamed of, out there on the screen for everybody to see, and instead of remaining calm and collective to try and prove, herself, she loses it. She loses it entirely. All of, that's personal. And I understand that. That would upset me too, but I don't think I would go and make a spectacle of myself. That only proves anything.
You don't know until you're in that situation. I mean, that's the thing. Like, she's making... That's why I say it's so confusing, because you almost get like that first episode is like a mission statement about how she's going to be a great Hulk and control her anger, but then the show shows you that that's not the case, that there are things that she can lose her cool, which she's justified in. Like, I'm not saying anybody would watch that and be like, oh, it's no big deal, and laugh it off. No, I get her being angry. I'm not saying that at all.
That was justifiable anger.
Yeah.
But when you're a Hulk, you can't have, there's no justifiable anger.
And so she's kind of claiming to be, I already know how to be a Hulk. And you're like, is the show telling me this, or is Jen telling me this? That's why that first episode is so confusing, because it's like, who's telling me this, right? If it's Jen truly believing this in character, that's one thing. But you feel like it's the show trying to tell you that. And so then when the show contradicts itself, you're like, well, what's going on? So should I just believe now that was just Jen's kind of, and that she was wrong, and that there is no message? Or what am I supposed to think right now?
It's almost like they're trying to damage control the series. To show you that, well, maybe Jen's not as infallible as she thinks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Which is funny, because she's proven to us throughout the show that as Jen, she doesn't have any confidence. But at the beginning of the show, when she was Jen, she seemed to have plenty of confidence.
Yeah, it's so strange.
It's like becoming She-Hulk took her confidence away. It's very...
kind of gave her a different perspective. And like I said, we've said before, there are things that could have been done in this series that would have been really interesting. And
Absolutely.
that could be one of them. They could have really gone with this, that She-Hulk destroys Jen's confidence, and in a roundabout way, it kind of is the case, but it's not really like the point of the story. It's not really like featured in the story.
Mm-mm. Instead, now we have to wonder, where are we going with this last episode?
Yeah, it seems like now we have a lot to take care of, and we have only one episode, which is so strange to me.
Right, She-Hulk's clearly going to be under arrest.
If she goes willingly, which we don't know what her current mental state is.
I think she will. I mean, she put her hands up at the end.
True, you're right.
So even though she is still battling her inner anger, I think she is in control of herself again. I think she had an awakening when she smashed that wall and realized, what have I done?
Yeah. I've lost my cool.
Which
I'm
also
angry.
might lose her job. Probably.
It's pretty bad press right there.
Yeah, that one of your amazing female lawyers went on a rampage.
Well, isn't that funny though too? That's why the show is so confusing, because it's at this gala to celebrate her for her accomplishments, and then at this gala she loses her cool. So I don't know. Again, that's the problem when you try to put messaging in there, because in order to have a story, you have to do something to, create tension and drama and all these things, conflict. And so I'm just confused right now. I'm really confused. And in its defense, it has poked fun at a lot of different, Madisynn, for example, is the stereotypical, ditzy party girl kind of thing. So It's poked fun at a lot of different things, right?
Yes.
But it came out of the box with its mission statement is the problem, if you will.
Yes. It was weird that they took such a great episode and they and then at the very beginning and the very end, they filled it with garbage. They sandwiched good in the middle. At the beginning, because we had to have that previously on, and we got to see 8 different angles of her twerking.
Oh God, yeah, I couldn't believe that. Why are we we're seeing 3 or 4 different times I went back to it. Like, why are we...
Yeah, and they had to show her recycling men, because we knew
Yeah.
that was going to be important in this episode. It's like they had to remind you of all the horrible things she's done so that they could put them on the screen later and go, see, Jen? See all the horrible things?
Yeah.
I'm like, great, thank you.
But Daredevil was good.
They didn't mess up Daredevil in my head.
Not really. I said, they put him in
got
such
a little bit of his freak on, but you know what? I'm going to allow it. Even Daredevil is a human being, I'm sure.
Well, is that...
Maybe he really did like Jen. She was a nice, normalish human being when she was with him.
I think he genuinely liked Jen. And I mean, is that meant to be...
Can't do math, but whatever.
Well, I know. There you go again. Like, the whole women can't do math thing. Like, I mean, they do
kind of funny
poke
because
fun.
she couldn't do math.
No,
He said he needed, 15 seconds a goon?
Yeah.
And she's like, half an hour?
Yeah.
Like, no.
I think she was joking. I think she couldn't do the math, but then she kind of, made it exaggerating, to be funny. But I mean, that is a stereotype, right? Women can't do math the same way men can. So again, like, the show confuses me. I don't know what's the message anymore. Or maybe there is no message.
Maybe
even though
there
they've
is.
kind of said there was.
Yeah.
But that's why modern entertainment is just so confusing sometimes.
But one thing this show definitely did for me, even if it was only in one episode, was hyped me the heck up for Daredevil.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, we still have, like a year and a half, 2 years for that show?
They haven't even started filming that yet,
Yeah.
as far as I know, yeah.
But I'm even more hyped for Daredevil because I feel like they did a lot right with him. I feel like he was a lot...
In his own context, he's going to be...
He was very
it looks
true.
like they're going to be really good.
True to the Netflix iteration, which everyone loved.
It would be stupid to departure from that, right? Why would you do that? It was so huge. I mean, that made Daredevil, right? I mean, he had a movie back in, not all that long ago with Ben Affleck. And,
we don't talk about that.
So, I mean, I don't think that did much for the character is what I'm saying. I think the Netflix series just made this character. That's the reason why there's such a buzz. And, his portrayal of the character too, right?
Obviously.
And so, why would you tamper with that?
Don't wreck a good thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't wreck a good thing.
I'm going to assume he's going to be the Matt Murdock, the Daredevil from Netflix for the most part.
Daredevil we deserve.
All right. Well, I guess that's all we got for you this time.
She-Hulk.
So take to the comments below. Tell us what you make of this series. Like, are you confused by this? Like, did you enjoy Daredevil? Did you maybe not enjoy him in this? Or, I mean, there's a lot to talk about with this episode, I feel. So do take to those comments below. Let's talk some...
She-Hulk.
And until next time, thanks for watching.